Annieliese Michel. A name whispered in hushed tones, a name synonymous with horror. She was a young girl from Germany, a devout Catholic. Her life, once filled with promise, took a sinister turn at the tender age of 16. Annieliese began experiencing strange occurrences. Visions plagued her, voices whispered in her ear, tormenting her with unholy pronouncements. Doctors, baffled by her condition, offered a clinical diagnosis: epilepsy. Medication was prescribed, but it provided no solace. Annieliese knew deep in her soul that this was no ordinary ailment. This is the story of Annieliese Michel. At first, the voices were faint, a mere whisper at the edge of hearing. Annieliese would brush them off, attributing them to an overactive imagination. But the whispers persisted, growing louder, more insistent with each passing day. They taunted her, mocked her faith, and filled her dreams with unspeakable horrors. The visions began subtly as well, fleeting shadows that danced at the periphery of her vision. But soon the shadows took on more sinister forms. Grotesque faces with eyes that burned like hot coals leered at her from the darkness. Annieliese, a devout Catholic, clung to her faith, seeking solace in prayer. She could feel a presence within her, a darkness that was slowly consuming her soul. The seizures began suddenly, racking her young body with violent convulsions. Doctors diagnosed her with epilepsy. Annieliese was prescribed a cocktail of drugs, each one designed to quell the seizures. But the pills brought no relief. The seizures continued, each one seemingly more violent than the last. And worse, the voices, the visions, they remained, undeterred by the pharmaceuticals meant to banish them. Her parents, though devout in their faith, were torn. They clung to the hope that the doctors were right. But as the weeks turned into months and Anneliese's condition worsened, doubt began to creep into their hearts. Annieliese herself never doubted the nature of her affliction. She knew with a certainty that chilled her to the bone that she was possessed. Anneliese's once vibrant life, filled with the simple joys of youth, was now consumed by darkness. She withdrew from her friends, her laughter silenced by the constant torment that raged within her. Her grades, once exemplary, plummeted as she struggled to focus on anything but the chilling reality of her possession. Her family, once a beacon of warmth and love, was slowly being torn apart by the strain of her condition. Anneliese's once peaceful bedroom became a battleground. The walls, once adorned with crucifixes and images of saints, now bore the marks of her desperate struggle. Anneliese's world, once filled with the promise of a bright future, had been plunged into a terrifying abyss. With medical science failing to provide any relief, Anneliese's parents turned to their last resort, the Catholic Church. They believed, with unwavering conviction, that their daughter was in the clutches of something evil, something beyond the realm of human understanding. They reached out to their local priest, a kind and gentle man who had known Annieliese since she was a child. But even he, a man of God, was hesitant to believe their claims of demonic possession. Finally, after months of searching, they found two priests, Father Ernst Alt and Father Arnold Renz, who were willing to listen without judgment. Father Alt, a man of stern demeanor and unwavering faith, had a reputation for his knowledge of ancient rituals and his unflinching resolve in the face of evil. Father Renz, younger and more compassionate, possessed a deep understanding of human suffering and an unshakable belief in the power of prayer. Together they formed a formidable duo, their strengths complementing each other perfectly. They understood the gravity of the task before them, the very real danger posed by the entities they were about to confront. The bishop finally granted his approval, though not without reservations. first exorcism took place in a small room, the air thick with incense and anticipation. Annieliese, her once vibrant eyes now hollowed by suffering, sat rigidly on a chair, her body restrained by leather straps. Father Alt, his voice booming with authority, began the ancient rite. He invoked the name of God, demanding the demons to identify themselves, to release their hold on the young woman's soul. At first, there was silence. Then, a low growl emanated from Annieliese, growing steadily louder, more menacing. The battle had begun. The demons, angered by the priest's intrusion, unleashed their fury upon the room. Objects flew across the room with impossible force, smashing against the walls. Annieliese writhed in agony, her screams echoing the torment that raged within her. Father Alt, his voice unwavering, continued to recite the ancient rites. Father Renz sprinkled holy water on Annieliese, the blessed liquid sizzling like acid upon contact with her skin. The first encounter had only served to reveal the true nature of the enemy they faced. Ancient, powerful, and utterly ruthless. The exorcisms continued week after week, each session a brutal confrontation between the forces of light and darkness. Anneliese's condition, far from improving, deteriorated at an alarming rate. Her body, once healthy and vibrant, was now a ravaged battleground. She refused food, claiming the demons wouldn't allow her to eat. Her once healthy frame wasted away, her skin stretched taut over protruding bones. The demons, it seemed, were relentless in their torment, determined to break her body and spirit. Anneliese's once peaceful bedroom became a prison, a place of fear and suffering. The walls, once adorned with crucifixes and religious icons, were now bare, stripped clean by her own hand in a desperate attempt to silence the voices that taunted her from every corner. She saw things, horrible things, lurking in the shadows. Demons, their eyes glowing with malevolent glee, leered at her from the darkness. The air in the room was heavy with the stench of sulfur, a constant reminder of the demonic presence that had invaded her sanctuary. Her faith, once unshakable, was being tested to its very core. As the exorcisms continued, Anneliese's behavior grew increasingly erratic. She would lapse into periods of lucidity, her voice regaining its former sweetness, her eyes filled with a heartbreaking vulnerability. She spoke of her torment, of the constant battle raging within her soul. She begged for forgiveness, for release from the nightmare that had engulfed her. But these moments of clarity were fleeting, soon replaced by renewed onslaughts of demonic rage. Those who witnessed these transformations were left shaken to their core, their faith tested by the sheer intensity of the evil they witnessed. Throughout this ordeal, Anneliese's parents remained steadfast in their belief that their daughter was possessed, that only through exorcism could she be freed from the grip of the entities that tormented her. Anna Michel, Anneliese's mother, bore the brunt of her daughter's suffering. She cared for her tirelessly, comforting her during her moments of lucidity and praying by her bedside late into the night. She witnessed firsthand the toll the exorcisms were taking on her daughter's body and mind. Anna's love for her daughter was unwavering, a testament to the enduring power of the maternal bond. By the spring of 1976, a palpable sense of dread had settled over the Michel household. Annieliese, her body ravaged by months of relentless torment, was but a shadow of her former self. The once vibrant young woman was now skeletal, her skin stretched taut over protruding bones, her eyes hollowed out by suffering. The exorcisms, once a beacon of hope, had become a gruesome spectacle. Father Alt and Father Renz, their faces etched with fatigue and a growing sense of despair, continued their grim duty. The demons boasted of their power, their intention to claim Anneliese's soul for their own, to drag her down into the abyss. Section 2. The price of faith. Anneliese's parents, their faces etched with worry and exhaustion, clung to their faith as a drowning man clings to a lifeline. They believed with unwavering conviction that their daughter's suffering was a test from God, a trial by fire that she had to endure in order to find salvation. They refused to consider medical intervention, believing it would only serve to anger the demons, to prolong Anneliese's torment. They placed their trust in the church, in the power of the exorcisms to drive out the evil that had taken root in their daughter's soul. But as Anneliese's condition worsened, their resolve began to waver. The weight of their decision, the knowledge that they were responsible for their daughter's well-being, pressed down on them with crushing force. They questioned their faith, their judgment, their sanity. Was this truly the will of God? Or had they, in their desperation, condemned their daughter to a slow and agonizing death? The guilt gnawed at their consciences, a heavy burden they carried alongside their grief. Section 3. A life extinguished. On the 1st of July 1976, Annieliese Michel drew her last breath. Her tortured body, finally succumbing to the relentless assault, found peace in death. The silence that descended upon the Michel household was deafening, a stark contrast to the screams and prayers that had filled the air for months. Anneliese's parents, their faces etched with grief and a profound sense of loss, knelt beside her bed, their hands clasped in silent prayer. Their daughter, their little girl, was gone, taken from them by a force they couldn't comprehend, couldn't control. Father Alt and Father Wren stood by, their heads bowed, their faces pale with shock and exhaustion. They had fought valiantly, had poured all their faith and energy into saving Anneliese's soul. But in the end, it hadn't been enough. The demons, it seemed, had claimed their prize. Or had they? The question hung heavy in the air, unanswered, perhaps unanswerable. Anneliese's death, a tragedy by any measure, left behind a void, a chilling testament to the power of belief, the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most devout faith. The news of Annieliese Michel's death sent shockwaves through the small German town, reaching a global audience hungry for sensationalism. The story, a chilling blend of faith, superstition, and tragedy, captured the imagination, sparking heated debates about the nature of good and evil. The authorities launched an investigation. Father Alt, Father Renz, and Anneliese's parents were charged with negligent homicide, accused of prioritizing their beliefs over her well-being. The trial captivated the world, revealing disturbing details. In the end, they were found guilty of manslaughter. They were sentenced to probation and suspended jail terms. The question lingered: what had truly killed Annieliese Michel? The quaint cemetery on the outskirts of Klingenberg, Germany, holds a dark secret. Amongst the weathered headstones and moss-covered angels lies a grave that draws the curious and the devout alike. It is the final resting place of Annieliese Michel, a name whispered in hushed tones. Her grave has become a pilgrimage site, adorned with rosaries, flowers, and handwritten pleas. They leave behind tokens of their devotion, their whispered prayers a testament to belief. Anneliese's story, like all good ghost stories, is shrouded in ambiguity. Was she truly possessed, or a victim of misdiagnosed mental illness? The debate rages on, fueled by conflicting narratives of faith and reason. Believers point to documented evidence, skeptics to the lack of concrete proof. Anneliese's story forces us to confront our beliefs and question what we hold to be true. The story of Annieliese Michel is a haunting one. It chills you to the bone, making you question the nature of good and evil. Was Annieliese possessed by demons or a victim of her troubled mind? There are no easy answers, no neat resolutions to this tale. The human mind is complex and often terrifying, capable of great love and compassion, but also unimaginable darkness. We seek answers, clinging to beliefs in a chaotic world. Anneliese's story reminds us of the power of belief. It forces us to confront our own vulnerability.